Austin, especially for those who want to discover the heritage of this nation's and Austin's African American community. Today on Austin Faith Dialogue, a look at the Carver Museum and this city's African American history.
This is Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs program discussing the important crossroad of religion and life, produced by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KTBC-TV. Austin Faith Dialogue highlights the interaction of the religious community with the social and cultural issues throughout our area. Now, today's edition of Austin Faith Dialogue.
Hello, I'm Valerie Bridgman Davis with Austin Faith Dialogue. I am the Communications Coordinator for Austin Metropolitan Ministries. February is designated as Black History Month. It is during this time that people look at the history and culture of African Americans in the United States. Here in Austin, we're lucky to have a museum that year-round documents and exhibits the important contributions Blacks have made in Austin and Travis County. Carver Museum has served this community for over 12 years. And while the museum is housed in a space of over 1,700 square feet, a major expansion is on the drawing board. The goal is to take Carver Museum from its present status as the first African-American neighborhood museum in the state of Texas to potentially a major center for African-American heritage and culture. To further discuss the goals and dreams of the Carver Museum, as well as the interesting history and culture of African Americans in Austin and Travis County, is the director of the Carver Museum, Bernadette Pfeiffer. Welcome, Ms. Pfeiffer, to Austin Faith Dialogue and to our discussion about the Carver Museum.
Thank you, and welcome to the Carver.
This is the first time I've been back in the museum in a while, and I'm glad to be back. I usually make the trip at least once every 6 months just to see what's going on here in Austin. Would you tell our audience something about how the museum got started, whose idea it was?
I'd be delighted. First, I'd like to say few people in the Austin community are aware of the building's heritage to Austin. This particular building was the first library in Austin. It was built in 1926 and then was moved to this site in 1933. It became the first colored library and the first branch library in the city. After seeing that the facilities were well utilized and the community's growth, our city's fathers decided that a new facility, library facility, was necessary. The question was asked then, what to do with this building? Some persons in the Austin community wanted to move this facility back downtown because of its historical significance. Persons from this community felt very, very close to this building and wanted it to remain because of its historical significance.
For the sake of people listening, we keep saying in this community, where exactly is the museum?
This is in East Austin. We're housed at 1165 Angelina.
And the closest building to you is Keeling Junior High School and the Keeling Park.
We're right in the Keeling Park, yes.
Okay, go ahead, finish the story.
And persons in this community felt very much a bond to this building. And because we were establishing a newer and larger library facility, persons suggested that this building be turned into a museum dedicated to the history and culture of African Americans. So in 1980, the new library and the new facility, this building, was dedicated as a museum.
And it is also a historical marker.
Yes, we do have a historical marker.
When was it named a historical marker, do you know?
In 1977, I believe, the historical marker was designated.
Okay, would you tell us, I'm looking right now at some collections of I guess some of these are handmade toys from where I'm sitting. Would you tell us something about where the exhibits come from, who provides them?
Well, we get our exhibits from, a lot of them are in-house, developed in-house.
What do you mean by developed in-house?
Well, there is research that is involved with each of our exhibits. We are an interesting museum around the city. We're one that we stay very, very busy all the time. We rotate our exhibits, or we change exhibits about every 30 days.
That is very.
that keeps us very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So what has to happen if we are developing a new exhibit, all of the new exhibits have to have research. There's some exhibits that we traditionally have, just as you looking at this particular exhibit, we traditionally have this exhibit yearly. It may change visually, but the general theme does stay. We generally have, of course, we generally have a Martin Luther King exhibit. We generally have a Black History exhibit. The theme may change, but from year to year. So in relation to what you asked, the collection, we have a private collection, which the interesting component of this museum is that it is not present, it is not shown all the time. We bring the private collection out as it relates to a particular exhibit.
And that collection has come, I guess, over the years. People have donated things to the museum, and you kept them somewhere.
That's right.
Okay. Let me ask you something else. There's an exhibit of George Washington Carver. I'm assuming the museum, of course, is named after George Washington Carver. Is it always on display?
That particular, and we call it is a display window, which is always on exhibit. Let me relate to you or share with you why the George Washington Carver Museum.
That was my next question.
Okay.
You're a mind reader, too.
It's so named. I kind of put a pun or a kid some of our guests who are Texans about the fact that everyone who comes in here thinks that George Washington Carver was from Texas. But we fooled them. George Washington Carver really had no relation to Texas. But the museum was named in honor of him, mind you, in honor of him. We're not housing his collections because of his great contributions, not just to African Americans, but to the world at large.
We need to maybe tell people he is from Alabama, I want to say, since I'm an Alabamian, and he has made a lot of he did make, rather, a lot of contributions as a scientist. And so you're kind of capitalizing on him as a scientist. Is that inaccurate?
Not really. And I hate to correct you, but I think that
don't hate to correct me.
I think that it's important for our public to know that he is associated with Alabama. He spent most of his professional life, which was 47 years, in Alabama. He was born in Missouri, educated...
Oh, we'll forgive him for that.
Okay, educated in Iowa. In fact, he was the first African-American to attend Iowa State, and he was the first African-American to teach at Iowa State. He then was recruited by Booker T. Washington to come to this normal school that he was starting in Tuskegee to head the agriculture department. This man revolutionized agriculture for not only Alabama, but for the world.
Sure.
And so we would like for all children, all persons, to take on the ideology and themes that Dr. Carver believed in. One of the things that I share with everyone who comes in, no matter the size of the individual, is that his theme about success. Success is not measured by the trappings that we have, the cars we drive, the places that we live, but it is measured by what we give to one another.
That's good. And that may be a very good place for us to stop. We need to take a break right now and tell you a little bit about AMM. And when we come back, we'll talk more about where the museum gets its finances, what you can do as the listening audience to participate in the Carver Museum.
Serving Austin means serving you. Each day, Austin Metropolitan Ministries is Religion in Action. providing affordable housing, caring for the elderly, marching against hunger, and much more. AMM promotes understanding, cooperation, and social involvement. So when we ask for your help, we're really asking to help you, Austin. To find out how you can help Austin Metropolitan Ministries help Austin through its member organizations, just call 472-7627.
Hi, this is Valerie Bridgman Davis again, and we're here at the Carver Museum with Bernadette Pfeiffer, who is the museum's director. We were talking before the break about how the museum got its name, and it's named after George Washington Carver, a great scientist, a gift to the whole world, as you pointed out to us, and not just to African Americans. I wanted us to switch the conversation to this museum itself and talk about where you get your finances from and what you need from us as a community.
We beg.
Begging's allowed.
Yeah, begging is allowed. We are a municipal institution. We are, our base budget is funded through the city of Austin. We get other fundings from grants and through donations. Of course, we're always out there encouraging persons to donate not only of their artifacts, but also monies for special programming. I'd like to share with you, tell you a little bit about a program that we are highly involved in, and it's our Youth at Risk program, which is called Opportunities for Youth. This is our third year that we've done a program called A Smile on My Face. And the Smile on My Face is photography. It's a photography workshop. We also have video for the children. It's a 16-week program. Mind you, everything in the all of the programs that we offer are free. We offer the use.
I need to be clear. You're training children to use the camera.
That's right.
Okay.
We are training them to use a 35-millimeter camera and the camcorder. The everything in the program, it is a 6-week program, a 16-week program.
When does that run?
And it runs, in fact, we will be starting next week.
You will start in January.
We will start in January.
You started in January.
That's right. And we will have kids coming from all over Austin to attend the program. They are...
And then do you display their work?
Yes. Let me finish telling you about what we do for them. And the whole idea for the program is at the end of the program, they have an exhibit. This will be the third year that we have this program. We have an exhibit here for a month, and then the exhibit goes to the municipal building where the mayor and city council is housed, and is there for 3 months. And then the exhibit goes on tour where all of Austin, in fact, it's been to Luling and other places, can see what our kids are doing. The concept for this particular opportunity for youth is that I want the kids to know and understand the positive things that are happening in their community. And positive things can be the sublime, something as simple as a beautiful tree or a beautiful flower. We've had such interesting and such dedicated students, and that's one thing that we ask that they be.
What's the age group?
The age group is from 11 to 19. And we've gotten that perspective of students.
You take them earlier than 11?
No.
No, that's the starting point.
That's the starting point for A Smile on My Face. Another component, what we're doing this year, we're adding another component to it, the general program, and it's called Miles and Smiles. And that will be 6-year-olds. And they will not be working with the 35-millimeter camera, but they will be working with the automatic focus camera and taking pictures. It will be a smaller group. In the Smile on My Face group, there's 60 students. We furnish the cameras, we furnish the film. They are exposed to they have the darkroom experience. We put them out in the community to meet people who are in the photography business. A lot of people don't think of photography
As art. Yeah.
well, not only as art, but a viable profession.
Yeah, that's true.
And there are many facets of photography. So we helped them along in that. We had a young lady who had decided last year, she had attended 2 years, and she said that that's what she plans to major in college. And she was very good in it here.
That's great. You know, that really is great. I'm excited that kids are early exposed to the arts. I think the museum is doing a good job of that.
Thank you.
I want to know how many people help you do this research, how many people scurry around the city digging up unknown facts about Austinites and Texans and other people.
Well, first of all, I have to say I have a truly dedicated assistant. Her name is Sylvia Owens, and if it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd have my right hand. We have opportunities for persons to participate other than employees. We're staffed with Sylvia and myself, and we have a senior aide. Her name is Willie Nelson, and she works 20 hours a week. So we depend upon other persons in the community. If we can't do it for ourselves, we ask them for the help. And the help in volunteering can be something in the realm of clerical work. It can be in the realm of doing research, research not only for an exhibit that we're doing, but also research finding grants. And doing some PR work for us and finding those avenues and venues where there is money. Doesn't have to be a grant. We can take donations, you know, right away.
Yeah, I saw the donation box.
Yeah.
How much traffic do you get through the museum?
It varies from day to day because we do have scheduled tours of our particular exhibits.
Do you get a lot of out-of-towners?
Oh, we do. It really amazes me. And this happens, I guess, traditionally, no matter where you live. The people in the town really don't tend to appreciate the treasure that they have. And we get a lot of Germans who come in, and we've had people to come in.
A lot of Germans.
A lot of Germans, because they've heard of George Washington Carver.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, people in Europe have heard of this man, and they want to know more about him. And they appreciate our artifacts. They appreciate our institutions, sometimes more than what we tend to, and they tend to know more about our facilities. But what they do is we get a lot of tourism from people in foreign countries, and they come. We've had people come in and come directly from the airport here, which really does amaze me, you know. And I guess
it amazes me too, because I guess I'm wondering, how do they do that? But I guess if you get a little visitor's tour guide and that gets you here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And people call from hotels and they want directions, and they sometimes just get the map out and start looking.
So if I ask you who were your most famous visitor through here, could you think of somebody right away?
Last year we had Marla Gibbs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We had William Marshall. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's close enough.
Okay.
I mean, you could think of somebody. You've been here with the museum for 6 of the 12 years it's been in existence. And just because I'm nosy and maybe somebody else wants to know your background coming into here, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the museum.
I got involved originally as a volunteer and then came on the board. We do have a support board called the Friends of Carver, which I would encourage persons to get involved and join.
How many people are on that board now?
Presently, there are about 15 people, and the board is recruiting persons to join it. So if there's anyone out there who would be interested,
who would they contact? You?
They can contact us here at the museum and tell their interests. We are, of course, interested in persons who have background in finance, background in PR, promotions, marketing, advertising, and all of the fields that in running a business. And believe me, the museum is a business. It is a pleasure business, but it certainly is a business.
Well, that's interesting because I don't think people think about museums as businesses. I mean, so.
You're so right. They don't. They think of the fun side, and of course, often people don't think of it as an education component. It is very much an education component.
And on that note, do the local schools use it as an educational component?
They certainly do. We not only have students coming in during in-house tours, but we also have a very active outreach program. We just finished a program with an artist we bring in artists from around the country. We had an artist who was from Toledo, Ohio, who was a book illustrator, an African-American book illustrator, and a folklorist. So we took him to the schools. Of course, we want to reach the largest number, and because of our limited space, we took him to about 7 schools here, and so they were able to enjoy him and his talents.
See, I think that's another thing people probably don't know about museums, that it can travel to where they are.
That's right.
And if someone wanted, I guess, again, to have some portion of what you're doing brought to them, they would contact you here.
Well, generally, what tends to happen is in February,
everybody calls.
Everybody calls. We get calls. And in fact, when we get calls all the time from people around the country on particular subjects, but it seems that Austin recognizes that there is an African-American museum in February. We are an institution that celebrates African-American history and culture every day of the year. And it is my hope, one of my personal goals, that all persons in Austin realize that we're here not just for 30 days,
right,
but every day.
Or 28.
28.
Yeah, I guess part of what the board would be doing for you then is trying to accomplish that very goal, that African-American culture and history wouldn't be seen as something to encapsulate just in February.
Well,
what are you doing toward that end?
That particular aim, certainly. The board's primary task is in a supportive facet, in that they do fundraising for us and support projects that to the overall community. They act as PR persons and do fundraising for us.
When and if the city ever expand the museum, which we hope will happen, because you certainly need more room in order to pull it off. What will your goals be for that expanded space? Will you just have more exhibits? Will you bring in more people to train? What will you do?
It encompasses all of that and much, much more. Right now, our exhibit space is about only 1,400 square feet. We would have an enlarged exhibit space, in fact, a number of exhibit spaces. We would also have a wonderful photography lab, which we desperately need. We would have, and it will enable us to have facilities for theater, for dance, and all of not only the performing but visual arts, ongoing seminars and workshops, which would make this certainly more viable, because I think that we're doing so much that the community really is not aware that we're doing, but we do it. It's just like breathing or blinking. We do it, and we will continue doing it even though we're in the small facility.
You talked about the programs for children. Are there any particular programs for older adults?
Well, it's very interesting you ask that. We include our seniors in a lot of our programming, but as another component of the Smile on My Face project this year, we were adding the younger kids, and we're also adding seniors to this component of photography. We want our middle kids, which is a part of the Smile on My Face program, to teach. There are a lot of seniors who have not been exposed to 35mm camera. In fact, it intimidates them. So a part of our program this year, special, is the Chain of Smiles, which is the senior citizens will be taking pictures. And we will include all of these in our exhibit in May.
I guess the other major question I have, I don't know if it's a major question or not, but looking at, I guess I want you to become a philosopher now here. Do you ever envision a time when Austin and other places will recognize African American culture as just ingrained in our culture and not an oddity for February? I mean, how do you envision that for yourself?
Of course, I personally, because I am an African American, and I live my culture and heritage every day, do not feel it as an oddity. I've lived all over the world, and I find our culture, African American culture, somewhat at a strain here in Austin. And I repeat what I'm about to say over and over again to persons, that because there is a celebration of my culture does not detract yours at all, other persons of non-African American culture. What I would like to see is the appreciation of, just as I appreciate Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, and want to know. You know, Austin is a very educated community. We have many institutions of higher education here. And I cannot call myself a truly educated person or learned person if I don't know about those cultures, if I don't expose myself, whether it be at a limited view, but expose myself to those cultures. And only then, in exposing myself to those, can I appreciate and certainly feel comfortable with. So I think that Austin has to come to that mindset.
Thank you very much for that. This has been my delight for us to be in conversation today. I think you're right that it is our job to appreciate one another.
Thank you.